Hey, what's up, everybody? Today I am interviewing Brooks Kelly. This is the first time I've interviewed Brooks. He's coming to you live out of Dallas, Texas. Brooks is going to do over 50 million this year. His top years have been over 100 million. He is also a coach for Go Coaching,
Go,
and
coach.
uh, and then you're a producing manager, isn't that right, Brooks? You both do production and you lead loan officers.
I do. Yeah, I lead the whole company actually as the like EVP of sales, if you want to call it that. But yeah, I lead about 100 loan officers here at the Mortgage Link.
So producing head of production, which is that's a big order. So I was just going to ask you how many loan officers, and it's 100. And
Yeah.
by the way, how do you balance that of, production and leadership?
Man, I work on my time, my calendar a lot. The better I get at that, the better I get at delegating, the more I can do, it seems like. So I've added a great addition to my team this year. I've had a big team for a long time. So I've got two LP1s that do all the incoming qualification, client consultations come to me, and then they do all the follow-up after that. But I've promoted one of my qualification specialists. He's my team captain. And then I also hired an admin assistant who's phenomenal, Kelly. She's been with me for about a year, and that's really changed my bandwidth and my abilities to do a lot of these things. So
How many loans a month on average are you closing? Just get a feel for the volume.
about 12 a month right now.
12 a month.
Personally, yeah, my branch, my region, we close about 80 loans a month or so, about 30 million or so. And then the company, we're averaging about 70 million a month at the moment.
No,
So we've
that's
grown the company. I was branch number two. Steve had the Mortgage Link for a long time, and we came in about 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, and helped him grow this as a distributed retail model. And we have about 20 some cost centers now, 100 LOs, and we're doing, 60, $70 million a month now. So
Congratulations, man. You are growing. And then how do you balance that? Like, okay, production, leading a team, leading a branch, leading a company, and then you're also a coach.
yeah,
How
yeah.
is it one day a week that you coach? Like, how do you balance all of those things?
Yeah, I don't know if balance is the right word for it. It's like drinking from a fire hose a lot of days, but I schedule it all. I hit my times, I mean, I'm here on time, out on time, and then just working my calendar really, really well. We do coach once a week. So for just 2 hours every Tuesday, I coach. And then we have a 1 hour coaching call either with the coaches or as students with growth only. And so it takes 3 or 4 hours a week just in that. And then we do a lot of, one-on-ones or student off week calls. So I'd say almost a whole day a week gets taken from coaching in one way, shape, or form. So
Well, hopefully folks are inspired by that. I mean, for this guy to be doing that kind of volume, that much leadership, and doing coaching, you can do it.
you
By,
can
by
do
the
it.
way, what is your take on what is the biggest differentiator from mortgage advisors that struggle, that aren't achieving their goals versus those that do? What are some of the things that you think are the common differentiators?
It's the commitment they have to it, I think it's their resolve and the way they get out of bed in the morning. And it's a grinding business, It's not easy. And I think we all got lazy, including myself during COVID. And coming out of it, the people that went back to what they were doing pre-COVID are the ones that are still doing well today, or the ones that showed up during COVID and don't know better are the ones that are really doing it. I've seen a lot of struggles from a lot of my LOs and people I've talked to during recruiting, and it's just they're not willing to put the work back in to get back to where they were before. And you just got to wake up every day with the resolve that you're going to do it and realize you're in a business that pays extraordinarily well for every transaction you close. And if you take good care of your clients, you're going to be able to participate in that.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. What do you think's ahead? Like, we're doing this conversation as we're closing out 24 in the second half of December. We are officially in the second half.
Yeah.
And what do you think 2025 is going to look like? How are you planning for 2025? What do you think rates are going to do? What do you think the biggest opportunities are for both leaders and mortgage advisors?
I think it's market share is really what we're going to have to push for. I don't know that the volume's going to change in the short term. I hope we get a spring bump like we always do. Right now, it's not really showing that because the rates haven't come down much. As we got closer to September and saw that big rate cut coming, we did see a good influx of buyers that have either bought or is now kind of on the sidelines. And I'm hoping that, through Christmas and after Christmas time that we get a lot of people that are interested in buying this year. But I think the volumes will go up a little bit. All the projections say that, there's going to be a big bump. I don't think we're going to see that because I think the economy is going to be doing really well and rates aren't really going to come down all that much. I think we're going to see more of the 6 to 7% rates, and the people that want to buy will buy, and the ones that are apprehensive won't.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. This is a slide, and I would love to see if you see it this way, that shares some of the opportunity as I see it in the market. So these are, it's from Housing Wire and Altos Research, all the mortgages, and you can see that there's a whole lot of mortgages at 2, 3, 4, under 5%. That's the
Yep.
bulk of people with mortgages in America. And then, this is the rate and term refi opportunity. And we know at 6.25, that's where you really start getting into the rate and term refi opportunity.
Yeah.
How low do you think rates will go in 25? What are you planning for?
I mean, conventional loans, I think if we hit that number by the end of next year, I think we'd be doing really well.
Got it. So get a five handle.
Yeah, I think in very, specific instances, you'll see a five in there somewhere. I think the average will be in the low sixes. You'll obviously get FHA and VA in the fives, but that's not going to be the overall market, I don't think. I think we're in a very heavy conventional market come next year.
What do you think the biggest opportunities are in 2025? Like and when I say opportunities, like realtors, builders, advisors, past customer database, uh, what what are what are the things that you think are the biggest opportunities?
Well, I think the real estate community is going through a big change, obviously, through, what happened in August with the NAR settlement. I think that's starting to settle out. I believe that there's going to be a really big disparity between the doers and the not doers. And I think the doers are doing a heck of a lot more. Like you're seeing a lot of agents, not a lot. You're seeing a small handful of agents do a lot of business, and you're seeing the rest of them do hardly any of it. So I think that gap is widening on the, 10% do all the business. I think it's like 5% does all the business now. And so focusing on really high achieving top producers and being a true business partner to them is what loan officers are going to need to do and stick really close to the big teams. I've always been very heavy real estate agent. Like that's 80, 90% of my business. The rest is database. I sold new homes before I got into the mortgage business, which was in 05, 06 when I sold new homes. And I really learned from that side of things. Like if you're not in the builder, like it's a very tough business. Plus, I didn't want all my business to go away in one fell swoop. The builder go out of business, they get mad at me, whatever, and I lost everything that I built. So I've diversified through real estate agents. And the builders in Dallas where we are just they're clobbering us right now. I mean, they're buying these bulk rates at 3 and 4% and paying all the closing costs. So I've lost a lot of deals to builders recently. I don't think they can continue to do that, or I hope they don't continue to do that. But we're losing a lot of buyers to the fringe areas, which if you want to live there, great, but you're an hour away from downtown Dallas. So if you're okay out there and in the sticks, then cool. But we focus on the resale homes, and I think there's going to be plenty of that for us in the coming year. So
Yeah. What percentage of your business is first time buyers versus move up buyers?
this year, I don't have the exact number. I bet 50% of them are first time buyers this year. We've done more bond loans and grants this year than I've ever done in my career. A lot of home ready, home possible, low down payment loans. But I like that a lot because we get to consult with them. And I mean, I just got off one right before here and, showing this borrower that barely had their 20% down, the difference of a 10% down mortgage and getting to keep 20, 30, $40,000 in the bank after the fact made a big difference to her. And so while they think they have to have that and they're saving for that big day, the education process of a first time home buyer really is, fulfilling for me on a daily basis.
Yeah. By the way, what is your why? Like you are as head of production, you're bringing Trust Engine and Mortgage Coach into your organization.
Mm-hmm.
Why now is that becoming a priority for you?
Um, because we have to differentiate ourselves from being order takers. And I think we all got really used to that. Pre-COVID, I used to have a lot of buyers that came into my office and we go through the paperwork and the disclosures and go through the whole process. And then COVID hit and it was just take a number and get it done as fast as you can. Well, through that process, automation, technology, all those things have gotten better to where people just want to go through the app. And I really want them to take the time to go through the process with us and understand who they're working with because we're not just a number, we're not just an interest rate. Like we're all very close. It's a commodity. Like we're trading the same thing, but who's going to get it done? Who's going to give you the best advice and who's going to get you there? And so we switched to a primarily Zoom consultation. And before they get a pre-qual letter, before they get an interest rate, anything like that, they have to sit down and go through this consultation with me and I get to educate them, and it makes them more sticky to us. We've seen our conversion ratio go up by about 10% since we started this and mandated it with every client. And I think adding Mortgage Coach to that presentation will make that number go up even further.
Yeah, no, we've seen um, on average that a Mortgage Coach loan officer is going to get a 10% higher conversion rate, and on average 10 more basis points. And those
Wow.
basis point bump is a combination of less concessions and
Yeah.
just being able to charge more. It's a more premium experience for the consumer.
Yeah, if you take them off the fence of shopping, like we went a long time ago, we went to showing more of them because as an originator, I always believe like don't charge points, zero origination. Like we're always going to refinance them because I grew up in the 10 to 20s and rates just kept going down. And so why would you pay points on these loans? And so I'm sure I lost clients over the years that paid points and got a lower rate. And so when you give them options and you're able to illustrate those options on what these things do and educate them through it, you take them out of their shopping mindset because you gave them an option and they no longer have to go look for another one. And then you
Right.
really explained it to them, and that makes all the difference.
Yeah. Yeah. How important do you think it is in 25 that call it loan officers become modern mortgage advisors? Like they're using tech. And well, first of all, answer that question, and then I'm going to ask you what is the difference between traditional LO and modern LO? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think they do it or they die. That was my thought when I really switched the way I did my business 18, 24 months ago. I was like, if I don't adapt to this, modern loan officer idea, I'm just going to be relegated like the rest of them, and I'm going to be an order taker for Rocket. That's not what I want to do.
So it's do or die, and it's now. And describe. I'm a guide for a community called Modern Mortgage IQ, where there's a lot of top coaches. Amir is a guide who
Yeah.
runs Go Coaching for. What are some of the things that differentiate old school versus new school and help define what it is to be a modern mortgage advisor?
Yeah, I mean, it's the go mantra, really. It's, be seen before they're known, liked, and trusted. Like you've got to be able to see me and understand that I know what I'm talking about. Like social media does this to you, right? And that's where I really changed is I was here and there on social media. I wasn't putting my name and my face out there enough, my expertise. I've been doing this a long time. I've done thousands of loans. I know what I'm talking about. But on a one-to-one basis, you're not going to get that. You have to go one to many, and you have to be in front of people all the time in all different ways to show your expertise. And the more you do that, the more people you bring into your ecosystem. And when they get to you, they already trust you because they've seen you over and over and over again. And now you don't have to build that trust. It's like reading a review on Amazon. When you're buying something, if it has one or two reviews, you're like, not probably not going to do that. But it has 100 or 1,000, and it's got 4.99. They don't even have to read them. They know that they're going to get great service or great product out of that. So it's the same thing. I'm just giving you my knowledge and my abilities over and over and over again without having to repeat myself over and again. So it's being on social media, it's being on podcasts, it's showing your knowledge, it's being in the community, it's teaching the agents, it's being on webinars, doing, instead of lunch and learns, we're doing webinars now. And it's because people don't want to go places, even though you're getting free Chick-fil-A or something, like they're not going to show up for that sandwich anymore because Dallas is a big place and they have to drive across town. So we're going to put it out there for them at a convenient time and place and minimal effort, but also educate them through that process too. So it's just changing the way that we get to people and doing it in mass.
Yeah, yeah. So anyone listen to this, take away some of the absolute attributes of the modern mortgage advisor is being on social media. Doesn't mean you need to be an influencer on social media, although that is an advantage, and you'll benefit if you actually have that type of following and that type of influence.
For
But
sure.
at least show up pro, and it means a digital experience for consumers, high touch, high tech
Yeah,
experience with consumers. Are you familiar with First Home IQ?
I am. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm one of the founders of that.
Oh,
But,
wow.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I think maybe you saw Kristen Messerly spoke at your Go Coaching event. She runs that.
Mhm.
I'm a big believer that part of being modern is also, you said it, being a community leader and and being involved in cause marketing organizations like First Home IQ, I think is a great modern strategy. Any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I think people there's a lot to that organization, I think, and that I don't think they feel as sold when it's coming through, a nonprofit like that, and it gives you the opportunity to educate them. And that's always where I look to. I mean, I was on a consultation with a client the other day, and she was all over the place with her budget, and her max monthly payment kept going up as we were going through this consultation because she saw she couldn't get the house she wanted without raising it. And I was like, so let's stop for a second and go through your budget. Have you ever done a budget before? Well, no, I keep notes in my phone. I'm like, well, that's not a budget. Let's just pull up this spreadsheet and go through this and let's figure out what you can buy and be happy about it. And ultimately we came to a conclusion through that process. So education, whether it's one to one or one to many, is always necessary. And I think our school system has failed all of America because it doesn't teach you the basics of how to manage your credit, how to file your income taxes, how to get a mortgage, what credit cards do to you overall. Like they do build your credit, but they do put you in a really bad place if you charge them up. So we just haven't been educated in that way. And I think our schools like should very much focus on that for our high school kids.
Yeah, and anyone listen to this, guys, that part of being modern is having a first-time home buyer strategy, making sure that you're educating and bringing people into home ownership at scale. And so I'll put a link down below to First Home IQ. It is a done for you, the leading first time home buyer solution. And it has a lot of content for teachers, for parents, helping people get into home ownership young. Your entire database is full of families that want to help their kids buy their first home. And if
Mhm.
you lean into this community and if you provide this education, you'll get more loans and you'll also be addressing a real big challenge and problem in the market.
Yeah.
So, any advice, and would love to hear your playbook. I want you to almost put on your hat of head of production for your company.
Yeah.
Um, as we go into January, like, what are you telling people? Like, I'm telling people, like, hey, you should already have meetings scheduled with realtors in January. But what is the I want to hear from you, a guy that does your volume, that coaches loan officers, that is head of
Sure.
production. What
Yeah.
should loan officers do to win and kick off 25 and to specifically win in January?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're too late at this point if you're going to win in January. We've been talking about this since October. Is making sure you've got your list built, the people that you know that are going to refer you, the people that you want to refer you in the future, and then build a strategy of contacting those people because the first contact, second contact, third is fruitless typically. Like sometimes you'll get a meeting, sometimes you won't. Sometimes they have a lead, sometimes they won't. So if you're thinking about this now and it's January, you're already a few months behind. But it's a great time right now to get your list in order, to get your back office things done. So working on your business instead of in your business is a great, what I've been telling my LOs the last couple of weeks is, utilize this time to get organized, to get your things together, to really solidify your goal setting and your plan for the next year. And that way you hit the ground running because it's hard to get meetings right now. And they all just say, call me after the first of the year. Well, you call them and every other LO, because, January is when all the LOs come out and then they all quit in February. So don't be the quitter, right? Like it's quitters month in February. So stay in there, stay in the game and continue calling. I'm not worried about January because everybody will disappear by February or March, and then it'll be back to the pros for the rest of the year. So, like I said, our plan has been in place for the last 3 months because I believe everything you do doesn't come to fruition for at least 90 days. Like you got to have a plan in place for 90 days and work that plan, and then you'll see the fruits of your labor after that.
Well, there's some great wisdom in that, Brooks. And I'm sure a lot of people watching this, hopefully the majority, if they follow this channel and they're part of what I'm doing, they're not
Yeah,
just getting started. Like they've
right.
been setting the deck for January. I
Yeah,
would love to hear your approach to getting a meeting with a realtor, though. Just you obviously have done this. Do you have
for
a
sure.
sequence of things like if you're
Yeah.
targeting, and let's say a new agent that
Hmm.
you want to get a relationship with, give us the sequence and include anything outside of the call, like if there's some social media things you're going to do. What is
Yeah.
the entire approach like for you?
Yeah. First is looking them up and figuring out who they are. I use Reader for that. I think Reader is a great software, RETR, if you've never used it. It's like MMI or Modex or any of those things, but it's probably the most robust database I've seen for real estate agents. And so we figure out who our target is, who our avatar is, and they do between typically between 6 and 25 transactions. They're within 30 to 60 miles of us. Like we look for the right person. And then we do a little bit of a pre-qual stock, if you want to call it that. We look them up, we find them on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, we friend them there. And then we start to work that part of the process first. So it's not a cold outreach to them. We're commenting on their posts, we're sending them DMs here and there, we're commenting on their stories. And so we're really just warming them up for that first phone call, or even possibly just working them on the DMs to get them into a meeting from there. So I think the cold call straight out of the gate is a very difficult phone call for most people. You sound nervous, you don't have a great script up front. If you do, that's awesome. But most LOs don't. Going through coaching, like we do scripting on a regular basis, and they're very cringy, all of them, until you really, really work through it and finding your value proposition. And so we work really hard on the value proposition. What is it that you do that's better than anyone else? What is it you just do that's really, really good? Like I coach my LOs internally too, and we were just on a call and with the top producers, and I was like, you're really good at this, you're good at this, you're good at this. Double down on that. That's your phone call. You're incredible at following up with leads. You resurrected a lead from 9 months ago that's now under contract that the agent totally forgot about. That's a huge superpower for you, is that you're really good at following up on these leads over and over and over again and putting money back in their pocket. So when you call a new agent, the script is, hey, Mr. Agent, I'm the best person in the world at following up on leads. This is what I just did. Are you interested in hearing more? Just give them just enough, right? Entice them, and then get them to the meeting from there. You don't want to give them the whole thing, but do what you do really good and just double down on it and build great scripts around it.
Yeah, so love everything you said. The only thing, and I'm sure you do this, but just as a reminder to everyone, leverage your current partnerships and, you know, make sure you know their
100%.
production, how they do business, make sure you know social, make sure you are engaging with them. Always add value and
Mm.
make sure you're leveraging any other agents to put in a good word for you. Throw it all
Sure.
at them.
Yeah.
Um,
For one, ask for the business, right? No matter if it's a
yeah,
client or a
yeah.
real estate agent, like there's always business there.
Yeah, and for all you mortgage coaches, make sure you're addressing the real needs of the market. Like right now, it's hard to get listings, and agents are going out and they're meeting with a lot of sellers that have a two, a three, a four. They want to move up, but do they want to move from a 4% to a 6% interest rate? I don't know if you know Patty Newby in your market, but
He's in
I
go.
inter I interviewed her a couple days ago, and she shared a mortgage coach example of how a consumer was at four and some change. The new loan was going to be six, and she used mortgage coach to show the customer how, like, hey, look what your net worth over the next 5 and 7 years is going to look like. So when you can uniquely solve problems for realtors and helping them solve their problems, which getting listing is a problem,
Yeah.
creating urgency with first-time homebuyers, like, hey, buy now. I know rates are high. I know values are high.
Yeah.
But being able to solve those problems for agents in a unique way has never been more valuable. And I'm sure that's why you're starting to lean into the mortgage coach partnership even more.
Absolutely. The more value you can bring, in any direction, the better off you are. I mean, one of the most simple things is to teach them how to refer a lead to you. Because if they just tell a client to call you, I mean, what are the chances they're actually going to make that phone call? Unless they're ready, willing, and able at that moment. But if you can give us their name and phone number, there's a way better chance that they're going to do an application. And you know what happens when you put three or $400,000 in somebody's pocket? They cannot wait to spend it. So let's get them in here. Let's have this conversation and let us handle that part of it. And that puts so many more people out in the marketplace. So just teaching them how to refer a lead.
Yeah, so here's the last question or sequence of questions. I feel like for a producing manager, you need to recruit and retain loan officers. You need to
Mhm.
recruit and retain realtors. And a big part of that is to get them to adopt processes and technology.
Yeah.
The adoption is always the challenge. What do you think some of the best ways are to get loan officers to adopt technology and adopt new processes?
For LOs, I think it's, showing the success that you have. We utilize, my success a lot to teach my LOs. We do monthly trainings for all of them. We offer coaching to them. We show the successes that I have and the other top LOs have in the process that they use. And we also share it with them. We're not holding these things back. Like I have a client presentation. I gave it to my LOs. They tweaked it. They made it better. They sent it back to me. I tweaked mine. So we're all sharing in this, it's a tough business and we're not competing for the same business either. So whatever we can do to help each other is significant. And the more demonstrative sales you have for that and the better leaders that you have that are actually doing it. I think the fact that me, my partner, Alfredo Madrid, like we're the top producers in the company and we also lead the company and it gives us a lot of stock with all the LOs here to say, well, if they can do it, so can I. And it's leveled them up significantly.
Why do some loan officers still not do it? Like what is the biggest obstacle to overcome when it
Man,
comes
I
to
wish I knew the answer
adoption?
to that question. I don't
That's okay.
know, like it's not rocket science, man. Like it's we just repeat it. Maybe they think it's boring. I don't know. Like we do the same thing over and over and over again and it produces business. And so I think it's laziness overall. They get satisfied. They close three loans a month. They make decent income, and that's good enough for them. Fear of rejection. They don't like to get told no when they make these phone calls. Um, all of those things.
All right. Well, hopefully, leaders and managers are getting value. My closing thought, and I'm going to ask you for your closing thought,
Sure.
is as managers, like the idea that he shared about getting adoption, sharing success stories, like that's a good idea. And ideas are easy. The execution of that idea is
Hmm.
great, but what's more important? Like consistent execution, like
Yep.
consistently month after month after month. You want to get adoption. It is boring.
Yeah.
It takes time, but it's the constant sharing of like this had this, did this, I had this success. And I personally think one of the biggest challenges to adoption, which that's part of my job here is chief growth officer of Trust Engine, is to get loan officers to adopt technology, is the
Yeah.
law of forgetfulness. They'll come to an event, they'll come to a meeting, like I'm going to do this, and they just life happens, and they literally 2 days later they just plain old forgot.
Yeah,
And so it's continuing to remind them and inspire them to do that.
for sure.
Any any closing thoughts, Brooks? Anything you want to share with this audience of both managers and
Sure.
producers?
Yeah, I mean, I just to go on what you said, I think it's about organizing your thoughts and what you're trying to do. I think that the job description of loan officer is so long, and branch manager even longer. The power of delegation is huge. The power of saying no is even bigger. Like I think we agree to too many things, we get interrupted too often. And so I challenge everybody to really work on their time and their planning on what they're willing to do and what time you're willing to spend on it, because there's just so many distractions in our world. What are the things that you're really good at? Refine that, do it really well, delegate the rest of it, or get rid of it. And I think you'll have a great 25 if you do that.
Well, let's get after it. Hopefully, everybody got value from this conversation.
Yeah,
Please, if you have not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, subscribe today. If you want to sign up as a loan officer or you want training, go to trustengine.com/10x. And if you do not have our full Trust Engine platform and our loan officer mobile app, uh, up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a button to click to get a demo. So, hey, I am looking forward to co-leading with you and rolling out Mortgage Coach to your loan officers next year. And I'm looking forward to our next conversation, Brooks.
sounds good, Dave. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a great holiday, brother.
All right, you too. Thanks.